JFK created USAID, and just 1 month later, it would later turn out USAID played this function of supporting these very same CIA-backed mercenary groups. That one of the reasons that it's gone so rogue is because USAID has always been this switch player. It was created in 1961 by JFK, and a point that I've stressed continually is that a lot of people are talking about this presently as if JFK, was purely thinking of creating USAID as a magnanimous charity because of his high moral fiber, and then it got corrupted through these money laundering and payoff networks that are being publicized. But 2 weeks before JFK created USAID by executive order, he awarded the Green Beret to the U.S. Special Forces and is singularly responsible for the massive upscaling of U.S. psychological operations, civil military affairs, and unconventional warfare. JFK was bogged down in Vietnam and Laos and all of these counterinsurgency debacles where the U.S. had interests in the region. World War II had ended quite recently. The world-based international order made it a big no-no to declare conventional war and bring in 1950 North Korea-style tanks and planes and napalm. And so we moved into this small wars, political war modality. And JFK believed in that very, very strongly. This is how you have places like the, John F. Kennedy Center for Special Warfare that trains our special operations folks, and the whole Fort Bragg JFK special relationship during his presidency. But just 2 weeks after that historic October 21, 1961 Green Beret Special Forces event, JFK created USAID, and just 1 month later launched Operation Pincushion, which sent the Green Berets, sent our special forces to Laos, where USAID was, it would later turn out USAID very quickly played this function of supporting these very same CIA-backed mercenary groups that Operation Pincushion was recruiting. They were sent to Laos by JFK to train and recruit these hillside guerrillas in Laos as part of our Southeast Asia, Vietnam, connected sub-war, unconventional warfare effort. We sent the special forces there to recruit them. The CIA managed that CIA mercenary army, and it was USAID who paid the head of that mercenary army to acquire 2 U.S. aircraft from 2 CIA proprietary airlines, Air America and Continental Air Services. Everyone can look this up, in order to buy the planes that they used to traffic, it's unseemly, but illegal narcotics to fund that war effort, as well as humanitarian relief supplies and personnel. So USAID has played this swing role between state, CIA, and DOD and special forces work practically from the day it was born. But what's unique here is its get out of White House approval free card. Can I flesh this out for a second? Most of the major CIA scandals of the past 2 decades have not actually been the CIA directly themselves. In 1993, USAID created this new office to help wage the post-Cold War political warfare, initially in Eastern Europe, after we were trying to create political vassal states out of the former Soviet colonies in Eastern Europe. And this was called the Office of Transition Initiatives, OTI, USAID OTI. And it was designed to be a fast, flexible, rapid response capacity for USAID to do regime change work, to do political stabilization, to basically do sort of a kind of civilian special forces for civil, military, and political warfare work that would not have to run the traditional traps of approval. It wouldn't be bogged down in bureaucratic red tape, and it would effectively function under cover of humanitarian work as being a CIA, but without having the limitations that the CIA has on needing White House approval through what's called a presidential finding. So all these CIA scandals popped off in the 1960s and 70s. The CIA went through a bunch of reforms. This was the famous Church Committee and Pike Committee hearings of 1975 and 1976. First time the U.S. ever created a Senate Intelligence Committee, a House Intelligence Committee, to permanently oversee the CIA, to stop what it had been doing, domestic political targeting at that time of left-wing Democrats, from ever happening again. Jimmy Carter won the 1976 presidential election because of these scandals, and immediately, his first year in office, carried out the famous Halloween massacre that laid off 30% of the CIA operations division in a single night and crippled their budget. By the way, tell me if that sounds familiar to what's happening right now, the first month of the Trump admin. Mm-hmm. Won the office because of political scandals from intelligence, agency oversight, hits them right away. But then Carter ran into the Iran hostage situation. The national security state, the media, Ronald Reagan blamed blamed Jimmy Carter neutering the CIA for having caused that. If we had the CIA that we had before, the Iran hostage situation would have never happened. And so there was still a black eye at CIA to get those old powers back, but the Reagan administration wanted those powers. So they couldn't get it through Congress. So what they did is they basically created new structures to do what used to be done by the CIA, to be done by places like USAID and their newly created 1983 National Endowment for Democracy, who is effectively the operations arm of much of USAID work. And I say all this to say that USAID, the reason so much of the worst scandals that you find are USAID, and why I always say when it's too dirty for the CIA, you give it to USAID, is because the CIA needs to get presidential approval for every covert action they do. They need to submit there needs to be a presidential finding that they need to do it. USAID does not, which means if a rogue cell at CIA or Special Forces or some wing of the State Department wants to do a dirty deed and they know the president won't approve, or in fact targets directly or indirectly the president or his international allies, they know they can't get the presidential finding, but it has to be a covert action to run. The world can't find out they're doing it or what these grantees are actually doing. All they need to do is walk next door or place a phone call or, meet in a secure location and tell their friends at USAID, and USAID can make the whole thing happen totally, basically behind the president's back. And I can go through a bunch of examples of that, but that's how Trump got hoodwinked in Term 1.0 by his own USAID.
So basically USAID is a proxy arm for CIA, Department of State, the Bureau, DHS, all these type intelligence organizations.
Yeah.
No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.